So one of the key pieces of literature that helped form my initial thoughts about experiential marketing and marketing experiences is the Strategic Brand Concept Image Management article by Park Jaworski and Debbie McGinnis. It was written back in 1986, which makes it, of course, older than virtually all of you. Um, but I do want to talk about it a little bit because hopefully it will get you to thinking about experiences in the way that might be useful going forward. This particular manuscript takes the view that products are a bundle of benefits and features. And the article conceptualizes that the idea that products are different types of features that lead to consumers' perceived benefits. And so this is the idea that instead of looking at a product like, for instance, a dozen golf balls or a tennis racket or a haircut or a class at UNLV as a holistic item, they always argue that you should unpeel that onion a little bit and understand the benefits provided via the features offered. And so in their article, they talk about three types of benefits offered by products: goods, services, ideologies, etc. And those benefits include functional benefits. Functional benefits are fairly familiar to you. They're problem-solving benefits. These are benefits that solve consumption-related problems, prevent problems, or resolve conflict, or remove frustration. Many products are almost all functional. An example of a functional product would be something like a laundry detergent, which is mostly functional. The second type of benefits offered by products are symbolic benefits. These are benefits related to self-enhancement, role position, group membership, ego identification, self-image maintenance, etc. These are benefits that affect people around you and make you feel like you are special in some way. Symbolic benefits are the benefits that a product offers that are visible and others can evaluate you based on the fact that you own and use that particular product. An example of this might be a fancy suit that you're wearing, or it could be a particular pair of shoes or a purse or something that has symbolic meaning associated with it. For symbolic benefits to emerge, the product has to be relatively visible. That is, other people have to see you using it, consuming it, owning it. The third type of benefits are what they refer to as experiential benefits. These are mostly hedonistic benefits. These are benefits related to sensory, that is physical, the five senses, or cognitive stimulation. And of course, one of the things that they talk about is that most products are a combination of all three of these benefits. Some examples of combination products that possess all three benefits. Autos is a good example. An automobile has functional benefits. It gets you from place A to B. It is reliable. It might get good mileage. It might have a high resale value. These are all functional benefits of an automobile. But automobiles also have a social benefit. That is, certain automobiles are more prestigious to own than others. For instance, if you own a Mercedes or a Audi or a Lexus or a Cadillac, it, in theory, tells people something about you. That is, it has an outward image. And automobiles are obviously visible products because people see you driving your automobile. And so they have a social benefit associated with them. And in addition, they also have an experiential benefit. You might remember early on we showed you an ad from Cadillac where the one of the famous actresses, Kate Walsh, I'm sorry, Kate Walsh says, when you turn your car on, does it return the favor? And so part of this is then the notion of the thrill and the feeling that you have in terms of driving your car. Some of you really love your cars and really love to drive them. That's the experiential aspect of an automobile. Hotels are the same way, right? Hotels are partially functional. They're all, there are places where you would sleep or hold business or stay in while you are visiting someplace. They're also symbolic, right? People say, "Oh, well, where did you stay?" And you say, "Oh, I stayed at the Four Seasons." Well, they go, "Wow, Four Seasons. That's a really nice hotel." So there are symbolic values with certain hotels. And then, of course, the third aspect of that is some hotels are more experiential than others. That is, the experience of staying there makes you feel good while you're there. And so hotels try to focus on the experiential aspect of you staying at their hotels. Clothes are the same way, right? Clothes are functional. Clothes are also symbolic, and in some cases, certain clothes are experiential. That is, you like the way you feel when you wear them. Not in terms of the symbolic value of the clothes, but just the way the clothes make you feel. And so there are lots of examples of products that are a combination of functional, symbolic, and experiential benefits. They go on and they talk about managing products over time, and they talk about functional benefits. And of course, in functional benefits, you need to establish the problem solving ability of the product, focus on associating the product with problem solving. So this is the stain remover product, or this is the product that will stop halitosis, or whatever else it might be. There's an elaboration stage when the brand, by focusing on a particular problem or general product category, expands its functional benefits and its perceived functional benefits. And then, of course, there's the fortification stage where you expand the product's problem-solving potential by introducing new or improved versions or spin-off versions. Symbolic benefits, well, it starts out by establishing the symbolic aspects of the product by ego enhancement or reference group associations or whatever. That is, you establish the symbolic value and the symbolic meaning of that particular product. Now, in automobiles, it's often done by price, but in some cases, it's done in other ways. For instance, maybe you drive an electric car. Well, there's a symbolic benefit of driving an electric car. It tells people that you are what? That you are conscious about the environment and perhaps want to create a smaller carbon footprint, etc., etc. Well, so you start off by creating a symbolic meaning of the product, and then over time you need to market shield it. That is, you need to shield the product from other kinds of associations, and so that the symbolic meaning stands up over time. An example of this is someone like Hermes. Hermes doesn't sell any of their products to Ross Dress for Less or any other outlet type of company. In fact, what they do is when they don't sell products and they quit marketing them, they destroy them because they don't want anybody getting a cheap version of an Hermes product. And then over time, of course, there's image building and maintenance through new products and key associations and making sure that this product stands for the same things that it's always stood for. In terms of experiential benefits, you need to focus on the cognitive and sensory stimulation of the product. Then you need to focus on enhancing the experience by making it a more powerful experience, positive accessories, positive aspects of the experience, making the experience bigger and better, and removing any negative aspects of the experience. And then, of course, over time, you need to push the limits, enhancing the experience by developing new products that take the experience to the next level. A good example of this would be a water park. A water park starts up and it's great. The first couple of times you go to the water park, it's great. But over time, the water park has to do what? It has to get better. Otherwise, you get bored with the water park. And so every year or every couple of years, they need to add a new um, ride at the water park. But that particular ride has to be what? It has to be bigger and better and faster than any of the other rides. And so over time, the experience has to go to the next level. Experiences are the hedonistic aspect of this. That is, they stimulate the mind and body. Some examples of what I would call purely hedonistic or purely experiential products include things like a movie, especially horror movies. Now, I don't like horror movies, and some of you, I'm sure, do like horror movies. But horror movies are what? They are truly experiential. The whole purpose of the movie is to what? Stimulate you cognitively and also stimulate you physically, in that you actually become physically scared. And of course, you know how this is. They start off with the first one starts off as a scary movie, but by the time they get to Halloween 13 or 14 or 15 or 16, it's got to be really, really scary. Other things that tend to be almost all experiential: vacations, theme parks, roller coasters, and school. Now, school is partially functional, partially symbolic, but school has a strong experiential aspect to it. That's why many people don't like online education, because they don't get the same, functionally it might be the same, and even symbolically it might be the same, but you won't get the same experience. And so the experiential aspect of schools is affected by the delivery method. All right, experiences are individual by definition, since they interact with the staged event and individual. While the experience perishes upon the staged event's conclusion, the value of the experience lingers in the mind of the individual who was engaged. So one of the aspects of experiential benefits and experiential goods then, or goods that have an experiential component, is that they tend to be memorable. And you tend to have memories about them, memories of your vacations, memories of movies that you've seen, memories of video games that you play, things like that. Experience marketing is associated with entertainment, but entertainment is not the only aspect of the experience. Staging experiences is not about entertaining individuals, it's about engaging them or immersing them into the experience. Connecting with individuals in a personal, memorable way. When we talk about experiential products, we often use terms that have been made up and combine things. For instance, you've heard David Letterman used to use this term all the time. It's edutainment, educational and entertaining experiences. An example might be the Discovery Channel or public television. It also are things like Sesame Street and Schoolhouse Rock and those sorts of things when you were a little kid. And that notion of edutainment is something that educators now, being forced to do an online activity, need to be focused on. That is, engaging the students in some way that is both educational and entertaining. There's entertainment. This is dining experiences. Bahama Breeze, Dick's Last Resort, the Rainforest Cafe are all examples of entertainment. And then there's golfertainment. These are golfing experience. For instance, I played golf at Pebble Beach, or even here in town at Bears Best or Royal Links, which are golf courses that have replica golf holes of famous golf holes across the world. And then the last aspect of experiential products that I want to mention here is this notion of the ing thing. Now, this is covered in your book. Experiences are all about spending time and interacting and being immersed and engaged. They tend to be about doing something. And that's why we call them the ing thing. It's the difference between having dinner and dining, between golf and golfing, between hikes and hiking, between a vacation and truly vacationing. And so the list goes on and on and on. But when we think about experiences, think about the ing thing.